Hello, Logan Hope, and welcome to Parker's Mom's Kitchen. Today we are going to be making one of my favorite recipes. It's a healthy whole wheat pizza flat. It's something that's inexpensive and relatively easy to make. But first, before we get started, let's wash our hands. Now this is one of my favorite recipes because it's so easy to make. It's something that you can use as a lunch, it's something that you can use as a dinner, or even as an appetizer if you need something small and fresh. So, as you can see, we have all of our ingredients laid out here, and we're using today a whole wheat pizza flat. Now, this thing is usually used for roll-ups or for sandwiches, but today we're gonna show you how to transform it into a pizza. It's a nice thin layer of dough, and what we're gonna do is take our olive oil and we're just gonna spread a nice layer across the top. Now this cool contraption that I'm using right now, it actually pressurizes the olive oil and allows us to spray it like it's an aerosol, which is kind of neat. So now that you can see we have the olive oil on here, it's time for your favorite sauce. So I like to use Rao's marinara sauce, and I like to pour just a little bit in the middle here, you know, get a nice even spread. And we're gonna take our spreading machine, which is actually just a ladle if you wanted to be like an Italian chef, and spread it nice and evenly with a nice circular technique like this. Make sure to get your sauce all the way to the edges, and if you're like me and you like a little more sauce, you can always just keep loading it on, or just put some in a bowl, heat it up, and keep it aside to dip your pizza in later. All right. And now that we have our sauce spread around, it's time for the seasonings. So what I like to use is I like to use a little bit of garlic powder, and I like to use a little bit of Italian seasoning. Now, this Italian seasoning is just a blend of different herbs and spices that kind of come together. Gives it just a nice taste and a nice flavor. Kind of contributes and mixes well with all the other ingredients that we're going to be using. Spread it nice and evenly around. As you see, I've got my two-finger technique that I like to use. And if you like watching cooking shows, I used to watch this chef named Emeril Lagasse, who he would take some of his pepper, and what he would do is he would take it right at the end and he'd go, BAM! And that would be how he topped off with putting on his seasonings. So, you can see I've got my seasoning spread, I have my sauce spread around, and it's all on that flat, which I have on parchment paper on our nice pizza band that we're gonna put in the oven in a little bit. Next, we're gonna move over and we're gonna use some fresh cilantro. Now I've pre-cut this cilantro because it's one of my favorite ingredients to use when I'm cooking. I just love the flavor that it makes. I use it in Mexican dishes, I use it on pizza, I like to put it on hamburgers. You know, cilantro just brings that added flavor to any dish that you could be working with. So now that we've spread this just a little more evenly here. Perfect. Now it's time for some toppings. I've got here red peppers and fresh cut white onions. So I'm gonna take these onions and I'm just gonna start spreading them around the pizza like so, making sure that I have a piece of onion in every bite. That's the way I like to think of it. I like to think that I'm creating every bite. And now we're gonna put this red pepper here. Now you could also use things like green peppers, you could use things like olives, you could use any kind of pizza topping that's traditional. And now we're moving on to my favorite part, the meat. I like to use sausage, I like to use ham, but today we're going with the classic pepperoni. Take your pepperoni out and make sure that you spread it around. You could draw a little picture, you could put a little happy face. I just like to get an even spread of meat so that I, like I said with the onion, get a bite of meat in every single taste. There we go. And last but not least, we're moving on to the cheese. Now, the more cheese the better is what I always say. So take it out, start spreading it around like this. And you're gonna wanna just make sure that every part of your pizza just gets covered in mozzarella. And bam! Now it's easy as this. You take the pizza like this, so put your oven at 425 degrees, and you're gonna just wanna stick it right on in there for about 10 to 15 minutes. And after about 10 to 15 minutes, your pizza should come out looking like this. As you see, we have the nice browned edges, we have that roll and that crisp on our pepperoni, and the onions and the peppers blended together well with the melted cheese. Take out your pizza cutter, cut it into squares, and voila, you are ready to enjoy a nice, easy pizza snack. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I hope that you enjoyed trying to make this recipe.